Okay. So what got you interested in coaching?
Well, I've been like following you for a bit, like way back when, like Overwatch 1, like roast reviews and stuff like that.
I
I've just been watching the entire time, big fan.
appreciate
And,
it.
you know, I, I do have a job now, and I was like, I should probably support you. And I
Well, I
also
appreciate that.
came up on a bit of a block. Yeah, no problem. Like I was struggling hitting the Grandmaster area, so I was like,
Yeah.
should probably sign up for coaching.
Sure. Okay. Okay. So obviously you've been around for a little while. How long have you been playing the game total?
Ooh, so uh been playing off and on since season 3, but like consistently, probably like season like maybe 34 or something like that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So more of recent, towards the end of Overwatch 1 kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I'm seeing here more of a support player.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How long is that? Has that always been the case, or is that more of a recent development, or what?
Pretty much always. Like I started
Okay.
out because Overwatch was my first FPS, so I was really bad. So all my friends would be like, play Mercy or something. I don't know. So I started there and worked my way out.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Now, I do see though that for first time first person shooter, you're definitely more the aim support kind of a thing. Kiri's and Ana. Why those characters specifically? Besides the fact that they're just
I
better,
felt like
I, a little bit of bias
yeah,
here.
that's
But
definitely
yeah, but go ahead.
no, 100%. I do think they're better. I feel like they have more impact on the game. Like it's
Right.
easier to carry games, and yeah,
Sure.
I was in the maybe grind set mentality, so I
Sure.
kind of
Sure.
shifted.
Sure. Okay. So I'm seeing Kiri, Ana, Flex, Zen, Moira. Interesting. When do you play Moira?
Mm, so pretty much when when I'm getting like dived and I'm like struggling to survive, then that's the Kiri
Got it.
Moira. If
Okay.
like my aim isn't feeling amazing, then I'll just I don't know, throw some orbs on
Makes sense.
buildings or
Okay.
something.
Okay. Sounds good. So, what do you hope to get out of the session? I hope to improve my knowledge about the game and fix the mistakes in my gameplay. Okay. How much would I need to go play to go pro? Okay. Kiriana flexes in Moira. How often? How long do you play? So you said that you have a job now. So right now, try to shoot for 2 to 3 hours or 8 games per day. Is that correct?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Short term, long term goals. Short term hit Grandmaster and maintain it. Long term hit rank one. All right. So I guess in terms of training time, and to go back to your first question there, how much would I need to play pro? I guess for you, the question is, I know this is kind of a cop out, but I think this question is more important to answer. How much do you need to be playing to improve from where you're at right now, basically? How do you get to Grandmaster consistently? Like we get to Grandmaster, maybe even get Grandmaster 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever. That needs to be the question. And I think, given your training schedule right now, 2 to 3 hours, it's doable to hit Grandmaster with 2 to 3 hours. Let's focus on getting that. If we were to ask what will get you to top 500, we might need to bump that to 3 hours, maybe four. But I wouldn't necessarily do that until you could comfortably get to Grandmaster. I would say, if anything, aim for, I don't know, 8 to 10 games and aim for more 3 hours than 2 hours, if
Okay.
anything. But I would focus mostly in just obviously, I mean, you've seen my videos, right? Talking about the quality of the hours more than the quantity. I think that's going to be the biggest, most important direct challenge for you. I don't think 2 to 3 hours is like woefully short to hit Grandmaster, especially if you're doing it consistently. Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. The only thing I would add is, I mean, I'm going to say it, but cutting some of the fat
Hmm.
from your hero pool. So I think Kiriana Zen
Yep.
is reasonable, but even if it's like a game of Moira a day, like it's just wasted time, right? You don't have a lot of time, and if you feel like your aim's not like really there, you're gonna have days like that when you're Grandmaster too, right? So like it's not so much that you need to grind your mechanics more so that you don't have days like that, because those days will always be there. Instead, it's more about like on the days where I feel like I have bad aim, I'm still able to kind of like psychologically work myself way through focusing on the fundamentals, right? So if you can't hit your shots in
Hmm.
Kiriko, can you still make good decisions? Can you still position well with that character? How are you able to deal with that pressure? And if you're not able to do it as well, then you need to keep practicing until you can do it. Like right now, this is a really, really goofy analogy, but I'm on a new setup right now. And basically my monitor positioning, mouse positioning, keyboard positioning is all screwed up for right now. It'll probably be fixed by Tuesday, hopefully. But I had to record a couple of games for some background footage for a couple of videos, and I couldn't hit any shots. So I'm sitting there like, all right, how do I like actually look like I know what I'm doing with the game with like missing like most of my shots? And like that was kind of like what I'm expecting you to do in this given circumstance, right? Like if you feel like ice cold on your mechanics, don't doesn't mean that you shouldn't play, right? It doesn't mean that you should be playing more. You're just like figure out what about your character that you can fixate on that's going to be still useful or practicable if it's not mechanics. Does that make sense? Okay. It's not fun because obviously it's satisfying, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just like a small question
Mm-hmm.
to piggyback off of that then. Like, let's say I have a day where I don't feel hot on my mechanics. Should I maybe like opt for less like super aggressive flanky plays or something like that?
I would think it would be more about. So here's a great question for you. Let me actually pull up Paint here. Because this is good, I think, regardless of whether you're inconsistent with your mechanics or not. Let me stream this right here. So you're basically saying on days where I feel like really, really, really cold, like let's say in terms of the mechanical skill challenge, right? And in terms of the like the risk, let's just say risk, okay? Risk versus reward. We'll do this right here. Risk versus reward. Generally what you want is you either want high risk, high reward plays, right? Or you want low risk, low reward plays, right? And that's kind of where like the spectrum or like medium risk, medium reward plays. And so basically what you're saying is on days where I feel like I'm not performing mechanically well, do I generally go for like the more conservative plays? That yes, as long as you're still getting reward for those plays. In other words, what you don't want to do is you don't want to go for like such low risk plays, right? That don't have any reward at all. Like we don't want you down here, if that makes any sense, right? We still want you taking some measurable risk. Like if you think about Ana, do you need any crazy level of mechanics to hit an anti-nade?
No.
Right? Generally not, right? Do you need any sort of like crazy mechanical capability to be looking for shots on the enemy DPS and tank when you don't need to be healing your team?
No.
Not necessarily, at least to look for those shots, right? So what we want to be very careful with is that if you don't necessarily want to go on a crazy flank and like kill 6, which is remarkable in Overwatch 2, but anyway, that's fine. However, make sure that you don't go in the opposite spectrum where all of a sudden, because you're so scared of this play because your mechanics feel cold, then all of a sudden you migrate all the way down to plays that give very little reward for also very little risk. And we go all the way down to plays like this. Like for example, on days that you feel cold mechanically, that doesn't mean you should heal bot, right? It just means that you generally go for offensive pressure that's not going to get you punished if you don't hit the shots. Maybe plays that are more of a distraction and less of an assassination. Does that make sense? So the question you should always be asking with your play style is like, there's almost without exception, there's always at least two options when it comes to positioning as Ana, Kiriko, or Zen. The more aggressive, but also higher reward, or the lower aggression, lower reward. And as long as the risk to reward ratio is good, like if you get, let's say, assign a random number, 4 risk, 4 reward, that's good. 1 risk, 1 reward, that's also good. But we don't want to see, one risk and 0.5 reward because I'm too scared to go for it. You need to kind of be very careful about like, I wouldn't purposefully be looking for conservative plays unless I could also still promise myself that I'm going to be getting value out of it. Make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And we can look at that a couple times in your code. Be like, hey, what's the high risk, high reward play? What's the low risk, low reward play? If that makes any sense, that's something that you can practice identifying in the moment. Okay. Goals, Grandmaster, rank 1. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a good one. What do you feel is holding you back from improving? Lack of understanding, leading to not playing optimally and maximizing value. Okay. Sleep looks good. I don't really have anything else from your form. Do you have any other questions before we look at your gameplay?
Let me see. I might have written some down. Okay. So I think I had a game earlier today because I was trying to hurry up and get some codes, but
Huh.
the enemy team was like their DPS and their Kiriko were like going on really good flanks and off angles,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a team that really wasn't concerned about like fighting for space or like concerning themselves with the off angles.
Yeah.
So I was wondering in scenarios like that, should what should I really be going for? Because I didn't feel like I could challenge them alone, but
Yeah. Okay, so this is a very common question, especially for tracer players.
Mhm.
But anything. So I want you to answer this question from the flip side. You are a flanker yourself. You're playing tracer, okay? Or Kiriko. You're on the back line and you're distracting, shooting back line, and both the Lucio and the enemy tracer go after you. Because like the stupid tracer, Kiriko's on the flank. Let's get rid of her, and they send 2 people after you. What's your job? Are you going to kill? Are you going to
Survive.
kill the right? Exactly. Because you look at that situation, you're like, could I kill one of those targets? Maybe, but it's a lot more likely they're going to kill me. If you see an opportunity to kill them, go for it. Like if you hit a shot or something, go for it. But really, you have created a passive advantage by just surviving and keeping their attention on you. Correct. Now,
Yep.
how does that apply to your situation when you are the one being flanked upon?
So maybe if they send like players, resources over to get to me, I just also need to survive.
Right. It's the same situation. If they send more resources to you than you yourself, right? Like it's a 2-for-1, correct? If you at that point in time can
Hmm.
just keep yourself alive, that's value because your team has an advantage elsewhere as long as you don't die. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, that might shift how you use your resources. I might look for an anti nade on the flankers rather than the enemy tank. Maybe I need the nade to keep myself alive. Maybe I need to play cover to where I can't heal my tank as well, so that I need to keep myself alive, right? But that's all fine because that's minimizing the impact of the 2 flankers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a push-pull game. Where they put more
Gotcha.
resources, if you can't match their resources toe to toe, you simply absorbing the resources and living is creating an advantage for your team. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Makes sense.
It's a great question because it's difficult, right? Like what happens when you have a ball Sombra Tracer diving you as Ana? Like at that point in time, it's just live as long as you possibly can, right? And the more that you live, the more time that you get your DPS or your tank who are under 0 pressure to be able to trade. And whatever team is able to better manage that push or pull generally wins. Okay. Any other questions?
No, I think I'm good for now.
Okay. What code do you want to start with?
Let's hmm. Let's start with Havana.
Okay.
Or actually,
Do either one.
I think I
Do a
did
little bit of
worse on
both too.
Hollywood.
Yeah. Okay. Hollywood.
Yeah, we could do that as well.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep, I think I did worse.
Okay. Okay. Are you a fan of the nighttime Hollywood?
Ooh,
It's it,
honestly,
it's interesting.
I like it.
I think it's interesting too. I feel like with light pollution,
Pretty
there's no way it actually looks like this in Hollywood, but it's still fun to think about.
probably not.
Yeah. Okay. And you are sushi here, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So is this mostly Ana or is there a mixture here?
Yeah, or like since I put in the form, yeah, it's just Ana. I've been playing just Ana because I feel like my
Got it.
other supports aren't as good.
Sure. How's the volume for you? It's a little loud for me. It's okay?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that could be the case. I think again, this kind of goes back to your hero pool thing, where I mean, anybody can climb with any character at any rank, and as long as you're not like you're reaching a rank where I wouldn't actively play bad heroes. But Ana's not a bad hero. Kiriko's not a bad character. Zen's not a bad character. You could make it work. So if you enjoy Ana, that's fine. But I wouldn't necessarily lean into Ana just because I think she's good. Do I enjoy actually playing her, right? That would be the priority for me. Okay, so I guess I would talk about what are your priorities as Ana. But as a Masters player, I should hope that you already know the answer to that. So let's just see what mistakes that you make, and then surely, right? If any questions come up. Now, what I want you to do is if at any point during the review something comes up that you're like, yeah, I don't know how to handle situations like this, or I don't know how to position here, or I don't know what to do, because you said that understanding was something that you feel is keeping you back. I want you to stop me. Just like let out a scream, like just like, yo, stop, idiot, or whatever, and I'll pause and we'll talk about it, because I don't want to assume that we're just smooth, and because if there's anything you feel like I don't understand, I want to go over it. Okay. That being said, is there anything that immediately comes to mind as you look at your screen right now, or are you probably good to go?
I guess maybe play closer to the wall, like hug the wall a bit more.
Yeah, just a little bit more. But yeah, okay. Let's see what we got. Oh, you're one of those guys. You're one of the old 2016 guard. Yeah, the Seagulls. Yeah. Now, we talked about high risk, high reward. You can probably see where I'm going with this, right?
Yes.
You tell me what it is.
High risk option would probably be TPing in, like throwing a nade and just going hog wild.
Okay.
And the low risk would probably just be either staying here or like maybe moving to point or something.
Now, this is the most important question you could be asking yourself. Is there a high risk, medium reward? Or is there a medium reward, low risk option? You kind of see what I'm saying, right? Is there a play that actually rewards more reward than actually takes risk?
Would it be like TP nade and then just TP back immediately?
That's exactly what I was thinking. You see what I'm saying though, right?
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, because like because that's one of the things about Ana that makes her really like broken, like fundamentally, is that her utility is so easy to like put out, and then like you minimize your risk afterwards. So like you play aggressively around your anti-nade, and the rest of your kit you can kind of just like snipe people, right? You don't really have to like put yourself at like major risk to get value out of sleep dart or get value out of your heal or damage. It's just anti-nade. And because anti-nade is like that one cooldown you use and then you're gone, you could put yourself at risk to land anti-nade and then immediately cut your risks down afterwards. And I think that 90% of good Anas revolve around that play style, if that makes sense. Whether you're going for high risk or low risk reward. So you just go in, you anti-nade, and you leave, because that's like a huge chunk of your value, right?
Right.
Something to consider.
Which, I just don't.
Right, but you should. You should. Because it's the best way to kind of shift that risk-reward ratio towards your favor. Because it's scary to take super aggressive angles and just shoot people in the middle of the open, right? But if you only have to peek briefly and then immediately go back and hide, it's worth doing. Little detail here as well. So what do you think about your risk-reward ratio with your positioning right now?
I think...
Are you peeking?
If they were to like come in and recontest.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, if they come in and recontest, could be a little dicey for me.
What do you benefit out of being right here?
I guess just faster capture progress.
Not even. You already have 4 on point. 3 is the maximum. And only by a little bit.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
I did not know that, actually.
To my knowledge, I believe. Somebody in the comments, I'm sure will correct me. But yeah, I believe it's 3. So if you're going to be here, The only thing that you access here that you don't get elsewhere is you can snipe down here, yeah?
Yeah.
But you're not doing that. So you're increasing your risk without, like, obviously maybe you're thinking about the point, but let's say that you knew about the point. You're not really getting a reward out of this, right? So what's the point? It's a high risk, high reward option here, right? Because you can shoot people, nade them, put out some damage. It's good. Low risk, low reward option. You tell me.
I guess maybe like on high ground, maybe around where the cast died, or
I love this
the elevator.
position. I love this position. It makes it miserable for them to recontest because they recontest and they have to touch point, but they can't dive you if they touch point, right? And you have great sight lines. In fact, probably easier to actually do damage from here than it is to do it on point, yeah? So, I don't know. Just something to keep in mind, you know? Because you could see it here, right? Like, okay, you hit the nade and the doom, a little bit scary, a little bit scary. Genji's all of a sudden showing up. You can't actually see him with your current positioning. Just something to consider. Where is this on the risk-reward ratio?
Pretty high risk.
Pretty high risk. Now you can play this smart though. Like we can talk about the micro. How should you approach this 1v1?
I would say maybe throw sleep or nade.
Yeah, quickly. Maybe just dump your cooldowns, see what happens, and then just jump off and run. Right? If the cooldowns land, maybe you stay. But if they don't, you need to peace out. Now, I appreciate that you're doing this because your Winston is in, which means that you have an opportunity here to maybe make a play with your soldier. So obviously this is high risk, high reward. But maybe if you play this perfectly, this could be high reward, medium risk, right? Because you throw your cooldowns and immediately bail. If you stay up here for no reason, it would be bad. So let's slow this down and let's see what happens. Medium reward, right? I probably would have gone for the sleep dart there a little bit sooner, maybe like nade into sleep or something like that. But you managed your risk. Now you're about to do it again, aren't you? You're about to go back up again. Oh, maybe not. But if you were to go back up again, maybe you look for sleep dart. Okay, if I hit the sleep dart, I stay. I don't, I leave. Same kind of thing. It was fine. I mean, obviously your Winston's annoyed, I'm sure, but I don't know that you could have helped him regardless. Do you notice what was your impact in that trade? What did you do? What was basically your entire contribution is what?
Just like nading.
It was nade. It was nade. That was it. Like you naded and you hit like 10 damage off of a shot, right? That's your contribution, right? Just keep that in mind. All right, I want to see this again. Oh my goodness, then. That's unfortunate. He overstays his welcome just a little bit. Now, positioning-wise, what would you describe as your positioning right now? High risk, high reward, low risk, low reward, medium risk?
Maybe like low to medium.
I actually have a hot take. What can you see here that you couldn't see from back here? Or here?
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying, right? You're unnecessarily increasing your risk for no reward. If you wanted to go up top with your Winston, very high risk, high reward. But that would make more sense than what you're doing right now. Because right now, you're playing on cart. But why? Like, why? What? For what reason? If you wanted to play safe, and in fact, you would have had a better sightline to help your team while cutting down on your risk by playing here. You see this? Look at the damage and healing opportunities that you have here, right? You see this?
Yeah.
and all while creating a little bit of distance and having much better cover than where you are right now. So revisit your risk to reward ratio. Where is it actually at?
Pretty high risk, little reward.
I wouldn't say high risk, but definitely a medium-ish risk, right? For low reward. Whereas this position here feels like medium reward, low risk, right?
Right.
So positionally, I think you can manage this a little bit there. Now, we keep talking about like the risk to reward ratio thing, but how do you actually make these reads in the moment? What are you looking for as Anna? Like what makes this a better position than where you're at? Because we can analyze this all we want, but like, what do we learn from this? What can we do better next time?
Right. I'm just gonna go off of like some of the videos of yours I've watched.
Okay,
Like we want we want cover,
sure.
and I think we want LOS on our team and the enemy team.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. I mean, this just doesn't really match our cover, right? This just isn't very good cover. We just don't have a very good sight lane. So for you, we could talk about risk reward ratio as like some macro advanced theory, but really for you, it just means that right now you tend to just kind of you're stacking too much on cart, whether that's on point or whether that's actually on the car, right? And I think that that's hurting your value and increasing your risk unnecessarily. Like, look how close this Genji is. You dead. Yeah, you're dead. You're dead. Right? And there it is right there, right? You did nothing that fight, and you died unceremoniously. Nice nade. Ooh, careful. If that was me in EDI, you're dead. My mechanics are just cracked.
Probably.
The other day I was playing EDI. Do you know how long I played until I hit a critical hit with that character? It literally took me like 3 minutes of gameplay. It was a joke. My mechanics are something else. Let's put it that nicely. They call me the body shot
I'm
bandit.
still waiting for.
What did you say?
Still waiting for I'm still waiting for your Iliari guide.
Yeah, I'm working at it. I'm working at it. I'm not. Here's the thing: is I'm not going to do like the full guide kind of shenanigans thing. I might do like a session that I crop down into a guide or not, but we'll see. Now, this is another important aspect of your character. So you use your nade, whatever. Let me ask you a question. Should you be pursuing this duel with the Genji right now?
Probably not. Nope.
Why not?
I'm down on cooldowns.
That's it, right? And your HP too, right? So we talk about, okay, we're going to keep talking about that risk to reward ratio thing. When do you generally lean towards higher risk, higher reward plays? And when do you generally lean towards lower risk, lower reward positions?
Or when do I, or when should I?
Well, you tell me. When should you really?
Like if it's like going for like a flank, probably when my team doesn't need healing.
Sure.
And
Think about the bottom right.
when I have resources.
Yeah, that's it, right? Resources, right? Resources. Right now, it doesn't feel like this fight's losable, right? Because it's like, oh, we're up 2, right? But stop. What did it cost you to win this fight, right? You had to use a sleep dart. You've used an anti-nade. You've taken a little damage from the Genji. Your Winston's had to use Primal. You've used a lot of resources to win this fight. I mean, even if we look at your Kiriko, right? She's used her Suzu and she's used her TP. Your Soldier's used his heal station and his Helix. Your Symmetra is positioned behind. I'm not sure what's going on over here. But it's cost you resources. So right now, you really don't want to be playing super aggressively right now, high risk, high reward. You need to wait until you get your HP back. You need to wait until you get your nade or sleep dart back. Do you see that? So when you're like here, you're like, oh, we're up a bunch. Like we can go. And you're like, oh, I'm going to shoot this Genji. But you're still not healed yet. You still don't have sleep dart. And this becomes a mechanical play where you have to hit this cooldown, otherwise you're dead. And this is a Genji's dream, where Genji could be up 1 or down 1, down 2, but if the enemy team doesn't have cooldowns, look what he does with that. He gets a 2K. How? How is that possible? Did you Kiriko with Suzu? No. Did you have nade? No. Did you have sleep dart before he pushed in? No. you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for you, I want you to consciously adjust your positioning, maybe not aggressively, but slightly, depending on whether you have your cooldowns. For example, if we go back to this fight, knowing what you know now, where would you be right now? You see Genji, where would you be?
Probably just keep playing cover with Symmetra, I guess.
Right, just right here. The difference between where you're at right now is night and day. Because here, first off, you don't shoot and deflect and kill yourself. You also have cover. You have more distance, so you don't get hit by the dash damage. You have a wall to hide behind, so now he has to walk into the room to blade you, which makes it easier to sleep. Gives you a slight advantage in multiple different categories, right? Okay.
Right.
You're looking for that nano.
Definitely.
Now you have your cooldowns now, but you don't have positioning. So what is the high risk, high reward play right here? You know what? Screw it. I keep talking about high risk, high reward play. Let's change our vernacular. What's the high risk, high reward position right now?
Probably pushing top.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's gonna be awkward with the nano, but maybe we use the nano like here and then quickly take the elevator up through here and rotate up top, right? You do that, you have your anti-nade, you have your sleep dart, you have your HP, you're playing off of your tank's timing. That might be a high risk or a high reward medium risk play. And honestly, might not even be that risky. Okay? What's the low risk, low reward play then? Or position, excuse me.
Probably just, I guess, staying down here, maybe a little closer to cover.
Right, exactly. So that's when we get to the micro, right? Where your idea of staying here is fine. Just be a little bit closer to cover and still looking for offensive shots, right? Okay, let's see what you do. That nano needed to go. He's on squishies. It needs to go. Oh, you're in a nano visor. Gotcha. Okay. Was that something you guys talked about in comms, or I assume?
No comms. I checked tab and I was like, I'm a
Oh, sure. Okay. I respect it. I mean, it's going to work, I think. He's got this. This should work. Oh, use your rocket. No way, dude. Why is he not using his rocket? Right there. Right there. That's, what is that? 120, 180 damage, right?
Yep.
Wait, who else is in there? Oh my gosh, they're all dead. What is he doing? What is he doing? What is, oh my God, look at that. Look at that. That is like, what is he doing, man? No deflect. I have no idea. Okay, anyway, good nano from you. And you actually pressed W. I would have liked you to have gone high ground, but this is fine too. And you notice that you're kind of like pushing, right? Why? Because nano, because nade, because sleep dart, right? Now, right now, it's just a tiny detail, but are you at risk right now?
No.
You sure? Remember, you don't have your resources yet. You do have your HP, but you're at, I wouldn't say that you're at a major risk. I wouldn't even say that you're at a medium risk. I would say a slight risk. So let's not be stupid. What's stupid about where you are right now?
Just wide out.
Just wide out, right? Like even if you were to like play here, just hug this side of cart, or maybe hug up in here. Or maybe just back up a little bit here. I know there's only 2 members of the enemy team alive, but watch this. Ready? 3, 2, 1. You hear me? And guess what you don't have? Sleep dart, anti-nade, cover, right? Now, I don't know that he's going to do this, but this is literally the Genji blade all over again. We're up 2, we're up 3, we should win this. Oh, but I don't have cooldowns. I don't have a good position or cover. And so I get sloppy. And honestly, if this guy high noons this, you and your Symmetra die. And the reason why that's bad is though, the fight's already won. Yes, but they're going to recontest and you're going to be down 2. And they will probably win that fight. Does that make sense?
Right.
So my point is, I want you to
closer.
right. I mean, look at your team's resources again, right? No TP, no Suzu. This high noon would work. So I guess it's just again a situation where like when you're down resources, I want you to play with a little bit more respect, and I want you to be playing more cover. Period. Like whether you're playing for high risk or low risk, your cover usage is not great. But don't get sloppy just because you're down a couple or up a couple. That's not how the game can be very easily. And you're oh, you know what's funny? You didn't even know he was there. I think you accidentally moved to cover.
Nope.
Oh no, you didn't. Okay,
think I was-
you were just close. I mean, but look at how close that was. I mean, look at how close that was. Did he have a skull? Oh, he almost had a skull. Look at this. He just pulled it a little too slow. If he just simply gone for the kill. Oh, he did have a skull. He just got greedy. That's actually crazy. And then he emotes. Brilliant.
So should have died there.
You should have died there. Yeah, you should have died there. And it's not because like, oh, you're playing too aggressively. It's because you were positioned sloppily, no cover, and you didn't have your cooldowns. Like right now, do you see how bold you are right now? Got cooldowns. We got an advantage. Let's go. Go. You could even walk forward more aggressively right now. You still have your sleep dart. Go peek down here. Smoke these guys, right? Let's go. 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 You got sleep dart. You got nade. You got cover. You're good. Because cover is an advantage, right? As long as you have cover, you can always play it a little bit more aggressively. That's unfortunate. That's okay, though. It's like, here, you're fine. You don't need to be scared. And then now, right? Primal Rage, Anti-Nade, Sleep Dart. As long as you have cover, can you push up here?
Yeah.
Maybe, right? I might still be scared, but where would you push?
In game, I was unsure, but
I mean, it's really hard. I'm not going to lie with
where
you.
my Kiri is?
I don't know if you get there in
Maybe up to
time.
my Kiri, or
I don't know if you get there in time.
maybe just around right side bottom.
Yeah, I would peek right side. Remember the burst of value that we talked about with Anti-Nade, right? The high risk, and then you can just go back. What I would do here is I would turn the corner, throw a nade, maybe fish for a sleep, and then run away. Back to my cover. See what happens.
Yeah, I'm like hesitating.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I understand, but I think if you have that time, you could just go for the quick nade and then go back and play safe.
Okay.
But see, right now, I know you're concerned about Grav. You need to be careful about Grav. I 100% understand that. However, your positioning is too defensive given what? First off, you've got no cover again. But what's the problem with your positioning right now?
I don't have any offensive pressure.
Right. And why is that a problem? What do you have?
Nade and sleep.
You have nade and sleep. You have nade, you have sleep. The funny thing about and you don't have any sightlines either to do damage either, do you? Right now, I would say, what is your risk to reward ratio right now?
Lowish risk if I played around cover and no reward.
Basically, that's it. It's the funny thing is you're still at risk. Why?
Not playing around cover.
Right. So if this Cassidy takes a flank here, which is really not unreasonable, or the Genji flanks behind here, which is again, you could just die, right? You could just straight up die. And yet at the same time, as you said, you have zero reward. So you tell me, low risk, low reward. Or you know what? Low risk, medium reward. Because I think with Simwall, you can be a lot more aggressive. So what's the more high risk, high reward play? What's the more low risk, low reward play? You tell me. Or position. Again, I want to use that word position.
I want to say probably peeking around where Soldier is.
Is that high risk, high risk, or lower risk? What do you think?
I feel like Grav complicates it.
I think so too.
But then there's Simwall. So I think I'm fine. Maybe like medium.
Medium? Okay. Give me another option.
I guess going maybe like peeking around what is that? Like a space rock?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
the term
yeah,
for
yeah,
it.
yeah. Right here. This area? Is this what you're thinking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this one too. This
Well,
one feels maybe the best, honestly. Just because I don't have to worry as much about grav because of the distance, maybe? What do you think?
mhm. I have flashbacks of getting solo grab, but yeah, as long as that doesn't happen, I think I'm
Sure,
good.
sure, sure. But at least you got cover that you can react to in time and you can still get Suzu'd and such. So, I don't know. Something to consider. Something to consider here. There's better options, though, whether it's risk and reward. See, because the problem is then by the time you walk forward here, like you could have had another nade by now. Like we are so far deep into this fight, and you have just really done nothing. And so this fight is lost, not because you fed, but because you contributed nothing to the team fight. Like almost literally nothing. Maybe 100 healing, I think, something like that. And that's it.
Yeah.
You know? You have to find the balance between playing around things like grav and losing the fight just because you didn't do anything, right? Sometimes it's almost even better to force them to use grav on you to where you can actually do something. Again, a situation where you are risking by peeking this here. But as long as your Winston's in and you hit that anti-nade, it's fine. Okay? Nice. Good try. That nade needs to hit. Why does this blade succeed? Now, okay, to be very clear, I don't think you're feeding here. You go for a sleep on the high noon. Almost. The nade, you think, if I hit this nade... Okay, so here's the thing. Should you have naded the Genji here?
Maybe not. It's maybe a risky nade, like no
Why?
guarantee.
Well, you have no guarantee of a nade ever anyway, right? Do you think it was worth the risk? Why would you want to save the nade?
Probably to protect against blade.
What happens if you nade the Genji right now? Does he blade?
Probably not. No.
Right. He might even die, or he'll get the dash and deflect forced, and your soldier lives. All of a sudden, that blade becomes a lot scarier. Or he has to delay it and blade later when you have nade again, right? So your problem here was not that you went for the nade. The problem was that you missed it. That's it. And then now, because they have rally, and you've used sleep, and you've used nade, why do you die to blade now?
No cooldown.
No cooldowns. And obviously, could have maybe hit some shots here, but I'm not even sure that would have mattered with the Mercy Pocket. So no cooldowns. It's not so much that you shouldn't have gone for the aggressive play. It's the fact that you missed the play. And so then therefore you're exposed. Doesn't make the play bad. In fact, I think nading the Genji was the proper play there. You just need to hit it.
Right. Okay. So just like this mechanical misplay.
Yeah, exactly. Shrug it off, go next. I think you made a good decision. Just hit the sleep, hit the nade, different story. And that wasn't an unreasonably hard nade to hit, right? It seemed reasonable that you could hit that. Just missed it, which is going to happen. That nade has to hit, because now that you've used that nade, what are you exposed to right now?
It's like Genji.
Yeah, Genji can now dive you, right? If you nade the Mercy or nade the Brig, you might put yourself at risk, but you trade it by putting them at risk. If you nade the Genji, not only do you put them at risk, but you discourage them from going after you in the first place. So it's an offensive and a defensive benefit. But you missed, now you're cooked. Not necessarily cooked, but very, very suboptimal.
I think if Soldier wasn't visoring, they'd just come up.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. So for you, the mistake was missing the nade. The nade needs to hit. Now, the question is why did you miss the nade? What happened? Let's look at this slowly. You tell me what you think.
There's like, okay. I think that was just poor placement.
I think so too. I mean, your mechanics aren't that bad. I think you just closed your eyes. I just think you just panicked a little bit, right? It happens. But that's something to keep an eye on, right? Because that happens to the best of us, but it doesn't mean it's acceptable.
Right.
Now you have Sleep Dart here. Now I'm curious here. So the sleep doesn't hit, but at least there's something of a discouragement. By the way, why does anybody ever use this soldier skin? Like what? Why? You couldn't pay me to use the soldier skin. I know it's free, right? Or it was free. It's the watermelon skin.
I thought this was the Moomin. Oh, is this the watermelon skin? I thought this was Moomin Rider.
It probably is, but it's the watermelon skin is what it is. I mean, look at that. That's a watermelon. Why does he have a watermelon on his head? You ever have like the 4 or 5 year old kid that just puts something random in their head and runs around? That's what Soldier's doing right now. It's just awful. So it's awful. This Genji's dead. So let's see what we got here. Now, high risk, high reward. This Cassie's coming for you, right? But what do you have?
Nade coming up on sleep.
Are you confident that you can win this 1v1?
I know I take the 1v1.
But is this a high risk, high reward play?
Let's see. My teammates just left me, so yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe.
Is it worth going for, or is it worth just avoiding a 1v1 entirely?
I feel like giving him high ground would probably suck a lot for our team.
It's tricky, isn't it?
But if
it's tricky, isn't it?
We probably lose.
Oh boy. Now, here's a question for you. When would it be stupid to take a play like this? When would it be high risk, very high risk? Let's put it that way. Remember the bottom right.
Bottom. Oh, no cooldowns. Yeah.
Yeah. Even just missing one, even not having nade here, I would be spooked. I would be a little bit cautious. I might avoid this, right? Let's see what happens. Okay. It's not that hard, right? Now I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but yeah, I mean that's it, right? You actually have. That's why people freaking hate support, right? But the difference, I think, the key difference between DPS and supports, this is not a hard rule, but a general rule, is that supports are scary when they have cooldown. Support no cooldown, not scary. Like if I take a Cassidy versus an Ana in a 1v1. If neither of you have cooldowns, who wins that 1v1 most of the time?
Probably Cass.
Right. Kiriko, same kind of a thing, right? Obviously Zenyatta is a whole other beast, but that's just kind of how it works, right? A Brig with no cooldowns, worthless, right? Terrible, right? With cooldowns, a little bit trickier. So I think that's kind of like when we talk about like your high risk, high reward, we talked a lot about how you feel mechanically that day, but a lot of it is also a lot more specific to like, do you have the cooldowns? Do you have the HP to go for that play? Okay, that's gonna be a cap. Okay, any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay, now we have about 10-ish minutes, so we can finish out, keep going through this, or we can jump to the Havana code. What would you like?
Let's jump to Havana.
Let's do it. All righty. Is this more Ana or is this a different character?
More Ana, just
love it.
Ana today.
All right, let's do it. Okay. Okay. No questions so
feel
far?
like 10 minutes. Maybe if we could go over like third point
Attack or defense here?
offense,
Yeah, let's do it.
attack, third point attack.
Yeah, sure.
I think I could probably play this a lot better, but I didn't.
Yeah, let's take a look. Okay. Any questions so far? Just double checking.
Let me see. How do I? Because I think I watched one of your videos that was talking about like we should always keep tabs out for like the enemy DPS. And when it's like snipers, I kind of have a hard time doing that. Do I just kind of go by like sound cues or?
Yeah, go by sound cues, pings, prediction. Snipers are a lot harder to track, but they're also a lot slower generally, so they don't move as much. Whereas a tracer, you might keep track of her 1 second, but then 5 seconds later, she's on a total different angle, right? So she's easier to keep track of, but she's harder to keep track of at the same time, if that makes sense. Whereas if you scout the Widow, you probably have a pretty good idea of where that Widow is going to be for the next 5 or 10 seconds. Does that make sense?
Right.
So there's just the nature of the character to be a little bit harder to hear, just because she's further away. That's just how it is. But yeah, I think it's good. Okay, any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, let's take a look here. What do you think about your positioning here?
No. Very high risk.
What about the reward?
Medium?
Could we increase that to high risk, high reward? Or medium risk, medium reward?
Maybe going further right and swinging, or like peeking through the door.
Looks pretty good to me, right? At least with where the Widow is positioned right now, right?
Yeah.
What about stacking tank here? I don't feel this one as much, but what do you think?
That is probably a bit safer until the Jungle Queen walks up.
Yeah, but it feels kind of gross at some point. Yeah, so this is hard, right? Like low risk, low reward, maybe here. We could still shoot on the tank as they walk forward. What do you think? So your options are
Yeah, I think
here probably or here. What do you think?
yeah, this one probably low risk, decent reward. Once they walk up,
Middle-ish, yeah.
yeah, middle-ish.
So I guess for you, it's like you can critique this position as like the reason why this one doesn't make any sense is it doesn't feel like you get reward for the risk, right?
Yeah.
So looking back at this now, you need to. I guess this is why positioning is hard, right? Because you can't just memorize this position is better. Because what if the Widowmaker is over here, right? Now all of a sudden this position is not good anymore, right? So then you would go back to here, right? So I guess my point being is that you need to keep practicing. Like, does my positioning reward the risk? Always asking yourself that. You know, here's another question: does this make any sense? So you don't peek a Widowmaker, but you peek her for a sleep dart. Does that make any sense?
It's pretty high risk, but
At least it's just one shot, though. Do you see what I'm saying? If you had peeked this Widowmaker at this range just to hit a body shot with your gun, I would have been losing my mind. Because what would it matter if you hit a body shot? You would have to hit another body shot and then another body shot to actually do anything, right? But a sleep dart, different story. Maybe you can't kill this Widowmaker, but at least it puts her out of commission for a while, right? It's the same thing as a nade, where like you might peek this Widowmaker to land a nade on their backline because it's just one peek for big reward. It's a burst of value. Now let's actually see how close does this nade sleep dart get. Or you actually javelin and... Okay, you slept the rock. Okay, but regardless, it at least makes sort of sense, right? But I would not peek that Widow again unless it were to land a nade on this. Like right here, this nade has to hit, and then you might need to back up. You miss the nade, now you're screwed. Now you're in serious trouble.
Yeah.
You can't stay here. Ooh, we gotta move. Toss that sleep. Nice. That nade must hit. Must hit.
Did I miss that? Oh.
You missed it. Let's check it. I think you just got a little too low or off to the side. Yeah, a little bit of both. A little too low. And I don't even know what this is. Do you even know what that is? Like, what is that? No. Is that a light? Like, I don't even know what that is. But yeah, you just missed it. A little too far to the left, a little too low. What do you think about your positioning right now?
I'm getting a little too far from cover. I was trying to utilize rush. I'm actually not sure of where the AoE starts and ends, but...
Yeah. Is there a better spot, or is this okay?
Honestly, probably should just get closer to cover, especially with no cooldowns.
Yeah, just a small thing, right? I don't think this position's any better. I mean, obviously it's the Bastion grenade that booped you, but like this position's probably better. I don't think. What do you think? This? No. This? No. Picking Widow. If we can get here, maybe eventually, maybe it's okay. But yeah, I think it's about your only option. You need to get this anti-nade. That anti-nade needs to hit. An anti-nade needs to hit. Anti-nade needs to hit. Again. Oh, no. Use it. Let it rip. Let it rip. Let it rip. Let it rip. Use it. Nah. You should have used it. You should have used it. Oh, no. It's the Orisa again. So I think this fight, your positioning has been fine, but you've done nothing with it. And I think it's been mostly because just fumbling a little bit of your mechanics. But it seems like low risk, medium reward. There isn't really a better option. You should nano her as soon as this Fortify ends. That's fine, yeah. So then she can chase. You want to allow her to chain her cooldowns, right? She kind of feeds there, but like you want her to like Fortify and then nano and then ult and and so on and so. Okay. But again, I will say, you go for the sleep dart. Nade misses again. Like I know it wasn't going to hit the wrist is dead either way, but the nade at least needs to hit the Junker Queen so that she doesn't feel comfortable walking forward, right? That's just a small little detail. Give me 1 second.
Right.
Okay, let's watch 1 or 2 more fights. Is that good for you? Nice, we did it. No, these guys are dead now. I think Orisa, I don't think she has Suzu, does she? Oh, she does. Cool crap. That just sucks. That's okay. We take that though. And they have to leave. That's good. That's a big play. I think it's actually crazy how many times you will lose a fight just because you miss a nade that you should have hit. It's so important, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. Oh, that's unfortunate. Did you have nade? I would have gone for this. I would have gone for nade here.
Nade just as soon as I hear the Bastion ult.
Yeah, as soon as you see that it's on them, use it. Use it right here. Maybe it hits the Junker Queen. Maybe it hits the Orisa. Maybe it hits these guys back here. Because remember, these are the guys that are shooting your Orisa. So if you hit the nade here, maybe it's actually better than nading your Orisa, right? But you need to use it. You definitely can't save it, because if you save it, either that Orisa or Torb are going to die to people that need to be shot. Also, I freaking love this ability. Let's just admire this.
Yep.
Let's just admire this ability.
No.
It's just the silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. All right, let's watch one more fight. You got time for one more?
Yep.
All right, you're going to carry this one, I know. Wait. Wait. Hey, all right. Okay. We hit the. All right. She doesn't want to push forward now, so. Good try in the sleep dart. I think it was well aimed. It just doesn't quite work out. Your Orisa gets melted. You know what? I lied. Let's take one more shot. You want that sleep dart? All right, come on. Let's get the nano.
I really wanted that sleep.
Come on. Let's get the nano. Get the nano. Okay. A little unfortunate we stacked Orisa and 4 to 5, or nano and 4 to 5. But that's all right. We can live with that. Okay. Nade does hit though. Now you have your cooldowns here, so I don't want any cowardly play here. See, like I think this is like a really minor detail here, but I'm nading this Kiriko immediately. Either that or the Torbjorn. I don't think it was a huge mistake here. I think it's unfortunate timing, right? Like that Widow hits the Torb. I think it's unfortunate, but you gotta like you get those cooldowns, you get an opportunity. That's when you need to like use them. If you have an opportunity to use them and you don't need to save them, use them as quickly as you can. So I actually don't think you played this fight too poorly. I think it was just a little bit unlucky. But yeah, okay. So what do you need to practice with your Ana specifically?
So just from what we've gone over today,
Mm-hmm.
gonna try to position better, just based off of like cooldowns.
Okay, positioning.
For
Higher risk, higher reward, depending on cooldown status. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And yeah, even if they don't have like, I guess just this will probably come with time, but like landing more of those cooldowns.
Yeah.
Instead of within them.
Chilling, not panicking. CDs. Hit the... Yeah, okay. Keep going.
Easy ones and making sure I'm not getting no value, like even if they have like grab or something like that.
Right. Always thinking about risk reward ratio for positioning, making decisions around it. But always cover. Always cover. I think we saw that like for you is like, you know, even when you were going for the more low risk position, sometimes you still wouldn't find cover, and that was just like needlessly increasing your risk. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Let me think. See. So like as of I want to say like the last week or so, I've just been like one tricking Ana.
Sure.
Do you think that's fine, or
Yeah.
do you think I should like pick up Alare, Kiri, or something?
Nah, you're good. No? Whatever. Ana's totally fine to OTP. I mean, it depends on what you want to get better at, what you enjoy playing. That's all. Ana's totally fine to do that with. Any other questions?
Oh, no, not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, remember you know the routine, right? You should practice one of these skills at a time. Especially the risk to reward ratio kind of thing, like thinking about like how do I position on my cooldowns? Like, okay, do I go for something more aggressive? Where would that be? Because you're not going to always know the answer. Like we were like relaxing and like, okay, what about this position? What about that position? And the battlefield is way more chaotic, right? So you need to practice thinking about that between fights, and that's going to take a lot of experimentation. That's going to take a lot of practice. So that skill especially is going to take like all of your mental energy. It's okay if you miss your nades while you're thinking about this. It's okay if you mess up your nanos. It's okay if you even if you mess up your cover usage because you're so busy thinking about like what angle to take depending on your cooldowns or whatever. I'm honestly fine with that. Like right now, I think like picking one of these skills at a time and really like hammering in is going to be big value for you. Does that make